coins, I want to talk about coins.
Yeah.
So this was like the first connection to this metaphor for me because there's such a huge discussion. Well, I don't know. Again, I live in La La Land. There's I'm on TikTok too much, but there's such a huge discussion. Like, at least with my business and what my mission that I'm trying to push, the first rebuttal I typically get is money. How are you going to make money? Or I would love to I would love to live my life. I would love to do these things, but how would I make money? And I just highly encourage people to think beyond it, even though that sounds so counterintuitive and it sounds so random and it sounds like anti to what survival is. You know, it feels like you're dying if you're not thinking about how to make money, right? But I feel like you, especially when you're embarking on entrepreneurship, like the journey, the game, whatever, you have to put money on the side. You need to picture it as something else. I find it helpful to picture it as something that doesn't actually exist. I think it's helpful to think of it as a coin, like just like in RuneScape. Did I physically die because I lost all my coins? No. It just set me back. I had to start over. And I think it was a really helpful way for me to visualize what money means to you, especially as an entrepreneur or creator, because you cannot get ahead if you don't lose.
Yeah.
You have to spend it to make it. And I think because we're never willing to spend it or lose it, we never get further.
Right. We kind of plateau.
Right. We kind of plateau. Or we think exactly what happened to me with my RuneScape coins, that if you lose it, you just stop and you die. That's not that's not actually real. You get back into the game later. You find another way to make money and use it again. And imagine if every time in a game you just lost money, you just gave up. That game would suck. Like, it wouldn't, like, that wouldn't make any sense. And I think it's the same thing with real life. Like, you need to use money as a tool. It is a tool for you to do things. It is not the actual value. It is not the actual success, in my opinion. It's how you actually feel with what the money brings you. And if you keep using it as something that you have to like hold on to and hoard, like, look at hoarders. They're never happy. They're miserable and they're mentally ill. And I think it's because they're trying to trap feelings. They're not letting things flow through them. They're never feeling anything. They're holding on to it. And I think that's what money ends up becoming, especially for a lot of people. And it hinders so many people from starting anything and succeeding at anything, you know?
You know, it's a really important point. And it's why I think it's good to think of the coins different than the levels. And different from the objectives. Because, sure, there will be correlation between the coins someone has and the level that they're at, but they're not necessarily the same thing. Right, because you could be leveling up and look broke, like have no money, but the skills and the knowledge that you're gaining from the levels that you're going up can make you that money in an instant. Right, exactly.
It's
and then objectives, which we haven't talked about yet, but it's like the coins aren't the objective. The objective should be something else, or is most often something else.
Exactly. Like, I don't know where this mentality came from, because I feel like the characters of my previous game, they were very much like, you have to like make sure you have enough money. You can't risk money and like whatever. But at the same time, I think I grew up like just seeing, I've always wanted like a different lifestyle, and I saw what those people had to do. They always had to be broke before it happened. Like, my parents, to get to this country, broke. Like, they had to do that to gain, and now they make decent money, and that's because they took a risk and set themselves back. And I think when you let go of that chokehold that you have over having a certain amount of money in your bank account, you allow so much more to come in. And I think that's the difference. You have to, you cannot get new with the old. You need to like give it up. And I had to give up making a comfortable 60 to 65K every year to make 120K, like, and, you know, and not that much longer later. And I think now I was like, okay, it was so much easier this time for me to be like, I'm going to go back to zero because I want to make 250. I want to make 500. And this time I want to make that doing something I thoroughly enjoy. And that's a whole different ball game, because you can make money easily, I guess, doing things you don't like, but making money doing something you like, that is a whole, because you can survive off a whole lot less doing things that you enjoy.
That's true.
For sure. Like, I'm so much more, give or take my breakdowns. I'm so much more.
Give or take 3 breakdowns.
3 breakdowns. You know, I heard that. But I'm so much more happier, I think, and fulfilled. I would say I'm so much more fulfilled doing what I do now, making no money, than making as much as I was making doing social media freelance, making a lot of money. Like, yes, at the time, switching to social media was so much better than what I was doing because I love social media. Like, that's what I grew up doing. And so I was like, bet I get to do something I like and make money. That was great. But then there was always something more. Like, I was like, there's something really spot on and deeper in my soul that I need to fulfill, my mission, that I was not touching at all. I wasn't creating content. I wasn't helping people like me. And now I'm aiming to make money doing that, getting paid to live. And that is like, I couldn't even imagine making 6 figures doing this. Right. That would blow my mind.
Dream life.
That is a dream life on 10. And yeah, I've made 6 figures before, but this time it would be insane. And the point is, I have to be able to give things up to allow for that newness to come, because there'd be no way I'd be able to balance all of these businesses and content with the structure I had back then, with all my time going to my clients, with always looking for the next deal or hustle. Like, I couldn't balance both. And I know bills are real. I know you have to survive. But if you get really creative, and I'm saying this from experience, you can figure it out. Like, we figured it out. Like, it's not as hard as people make it out to be. Like, they don't even begin to think about it. I think that's the problem. Like, there's like, no, I'm not even going to go there. Don't even talk anymore about me not making money. Like, just shut up.
It's a lot like the anticipation of something is much harder than the thing itself. This is a similar kind of thing. Like, you imagining like, oh, if my income got cut in half or into a fourth, like
you're like, oh shit, how would
it becomes so stressful. But when you're actually in that scenario, you don't even have bandwidth to work to stress out.
Thank you.
You're just action and solution oriented.
You get to work. Let me tell you, like, you will get to, like, I'm telling you, if you think, oh my God, I'm gonna have like, no, I can't even pay rent, you will find a way to pay rent.
Here's a good example: your taxes.
Oh my God, yes. This might be. I don't really mind sharing this stuff, and I know people seem uncomfortable when I talk about it, and I don't mean to make people uncomfortable. I just don't care that much. But I was kind of freaking out a little last year because I was like, I want to start this brand. I have to physically, like, I have to invest money. It's not a lot, like $2 or $3 grand into making my physical product, my sweatshirts. And I was running low on money. So by the end of December 2023, I had
$7 grand.
No, but like my personal money outside of my tax. So let me re-explain this.
Okay.
I, as a freelancer in like 2022, 2023, I have to set money aside to pay my taxes. I think, just in case you don't know that, I have to put it away. So I put it in a separate account because it just makes it easier for me. So a lot of times, like throughout the like year, it'll be like 5K, 10K, it'll keep growing as I have to put 30% away from every check I get. So I think at like tax season last year, April 2023, I had like $7 grand in there. Okay. 7 or 8 grand in there. And I think I was a bit short too of like my actual taxes, but I was like, okay, I'm gonna just figure it out, you know? And then I had money, like a little bit of money to live, right? Because that April 2023 is when I got let go from my client. So I was like, oh shit, like, and that's when I was like, oh, let me start a business and I can make money by the end of the year and figure it out. Right. That didn't end up happening. So it's December 2023. I have that $7 grand ish because I was using it to like practice consulting, start the business, my consulting business. And I have like $7 grand in that account, 6 or 7 grand, I think. And my personal money was down to zero. Like, I had no more money to pay my bills, and he takes care of like most of our living expenses, but I still have like my car note and like my insurance, things like that. And I was like, crap, like I don't have any money, and I also don't have any money to start anything new. So I was like, I'm just going to use my tax money to start this business, and this will become my business money now. And hopefully the business makes money so I can pay that back and then survive.
Yeah.
That also didn't happen. So I was like, oh crap. I knew when I was deciding to do that, I was kind of on momentum. I was like, yeah, I'm going to make that money back. I'm going to do whatever I need to do. It didn't happen. And so April of this year, I was very nervous because I was like, shit, I know I'm going to owe like 15 grand because I was short. So that original 8 grand was not even going to cover it. I was like, I know I'm going to owe this much and I have no money to pay it back. And I was sweating, but then I just finally did my taxes. And so I ended up owing like 11 grand. And I was like, okay, not as bad as I thought. And then I was like, wait a minute, I could do like a payment plan. And then I was like, that's still kind of not ideal because I'm still not making money. So I don't even know how I would pay month to month. And then when I signed up and did the whole thing, you just pay it in one lump sum at your new deadline.
Yeah.
With interest
6
and
months
stuff.
later.
And I was like, oh, okay. Well, now I have 6 months to actually figure it out. Because I have experience. Like I know the businesses, it's going to take a minute to make money. So now I need to figure out some other venture. And now that's kind of led me to doing UGC.
Exactly.
Because it's still a way for me to be a content creator full time. Like I'm not having to have clients and, you know, it is, but it's not. Like it's still like my threshold is like still make it get paid to live vibes. Make money in a way that still feels natural to you. And so I can aim to make 11, 12 grand through that by my new deadline, which is in October. And it really wasn't this huge drama. Like it's not that big of a deal. And I'm reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and he says something like, the government will always be screaming for their money. You don't need to freak out every time that they ask for money because they will make sure they get it. But you need to pay yourself first, because if it's the other way around, if you're always giving your money to the government and giving it to all these bills and everything, you will never just feel this urge to be like, I need to find a way to make money, because you're just gonna be like, oh, I'll start it next month. Oh, I'll start it next year.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll start it in a few years.
For example, like, you know, you have your bills in government. Taxes included, and you want to start a business. Most people will pay their bills first and then leftover for the business. But what happens is if they're short on what they need for the business, they're like, oh, no big deal.
I'll try to next month.
Because you are the arbiter. Like you
don't care.
You have to be the one collecting the money for your own business.
Exactly.
But if it's the other way around, like you give your business everything it needs, and now your bills are second. Of course, you need to have a little finesse here, but you'll kind of give your business everything it needs, and then
the government will not sleep until they get that check.
People that like the collectors of whatever bills, they're going to be reminding you that you owe them money. You
owe this, and you're going to be like, oh shit.
And then that fuel
I need to make
will
money.
in.
I need to make more money. So either this business is going to start pumping out cash, or I need to find something to do. And it gives you like I feel like it's just a more natural, even though people do it the opposite, I think it's just a more natural way of doing it. It's we always talk about this, like just in time. You don't need to overwork. You just need to do what is needed for that moment. That's another thing I've learned in this game. Like I have been discovering a bunch of new entrepreneurs. A lot of them, they're like, I only had 10 grand to make this business work. I only had $1,000 to make this business work. And that just forced them to really make it happen. And I don't think that 10 grand or that $1,000 was just money they had sitting around. I think that was like all they had. And I think I'm not encouraging people to be reckless, but I'm just saying the reality is it's not going to be comfortable. So trying to over accumulate on coins, you're never going to start. You're
just going to lose it.
You're going to lose it, or you're going to give it away to the government. Because you're going to give it away to bills.
You have to pay to learn.
Yeah. And I think there's other ways that this is not the only way to do things, but personally, I've never seen money as like this real thing. So I'm just like, whatever, it's my coins. Like I'm just going to use my coins to get my thing, whatever I need. And that makes me feel good. The thing I get in return makes me feel good. I don't regret using that money. I love the sweatshirts I made, and people love them too. And if I sell all of them, even better. Like I gained so much from that $2,000 I spent. I learned how to create clothing. I learned how to build a website. I learned how to even sell any of these things, like that's invaluable to me versus what that $2,000 sitting in my account that I would have given to the government. I would have learned nothing. I would have learned absolutely nothing
and
doing
you would
that.
have been in this situation where now you're forced to get creative
and
on
get
how to
better
generate
and learn how to make money. And I think that's the difference he's saying in the book. When you give your money to the government, you don't learn anything. When you do it, you pay yourself first and do it the opposite way, you learn how to make money. And that is a huge skill.